נר נשמה שהדלק כל השבוע בבית, מקלחת, מים קרים בלי סבון. תחתונים, גופיות, גרביים מותר להחליף כל השבוע, רק בגדים עליונים לא להחליף. בלילה אפשר לישון עם פיג'מה, וכמובן לשבת להחליף הכל. 30 יום לא להתגלח, וקדיש כל השנה כמובן. בסדר?
כל השנה?
11 חודש, כן.
כן.
כן, אני מתכוון כל השנה, הכוונה היא כן.
אוקיי.
כן. בסדר?
כן.
אוקיי. כמה הספדים יש לכם פה?
5.
לא, לא. יהיה פה הספד אחד או שניים מקסימום, השאר תעשו בחלקה. אנחנו כמה שיותר מרחק מאנשי חברה קדישא. 5 דקות, 10 דקות גג לדבר, אחרי זה מי שירצה שם בחלקה, אבל להשתדל לגמור לפני שבת כמובן.
לא, כל אחד מדבר.
בהומור אמרתי. בסדר? אני מוציא לכם כלי לעשות קריאה, אישה תעשה לנשים, גבר יעשה לגברים, כי אנחנו לא מתקרבים היום למשפחות. כן, הוא יעשה את הזיהוי, כן, כמובן. עוד רגע. כמה אבלים יש פה? 6. מה הם? יש פה 2 בנים. מה עוד יש חוץ מהבנים? 2 בנים.
אמא ו3 אחיות.
אמא ו3 אחיות. אוקיי. האמא וה3 אחיות יעשו קריאה בצד ימין. ימין שלהם, שזה בעצם שמאל שלך. הבנים עושים קריאה בצד שמאל שלהם, שזה ימין של מי שעושה להם. בסדר? בואי איתי בבקשה. לא. לא, אני אסביר לך.
What do you prefer? You want 2 here? And the rest there. What do you prefer?
לא להחזיק שום דבר ביד, להניח את הכל. put it down.
Sorry. Open your button.
תוריד את כל הדברים, לא להחזיק ביד כלום.
You don't
Eloheinu melech haolam dayan ha'emet.
אמן. אותו דבר. עוד קצת, זהו, עכשיו ללמד. עד הלב לקרוא.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם דיין האמת.
אמן. בוא תיתן לגברת שהיא תעשה קריאה גם כן. אוקיי, צד ימין, כולם צד ימין. 2 סנטימטר בלבד, לא לעשות יותר מ2 סנטימטר.
אני עושה?
בבית ממשיכים את הקריאה, בבית, לא פה. בבית, בסדר, תגידי ברכה, דיין האמת. בבית לקרוא הגברת. אמן. אישה. אין פה חרץ, סליחה, גברת, את לא עושה ברכה על הקריאה. את עושה ברכה דיין האמת על הפטירה. אין קשר לקריאה בכלל. בבית להמשיך. אמן. מי יוצא לעיל? כן, היא צריכה לעמוד כשעושים את הקריאה. צד ימין. לא, בבית לקרוא עוד, בבית. ברור. אמן. כולם עשו קריאה? אוקיי, בבקשה דברי הספד. בבקשה.
Can you move this? Daddy, I miss you so much. You're finally home. You're in Israel, a place that you loved so much. A place that combined two things you cared so deeply about, family and Judaism. Israel was the only place you ever wanted to go on vacation, and now you'll be here forever. Daddy, you were so happy every time you were with your family, and you wanted so much to be part of all of our lives. If I'm going to Israel for less than 24 hours for one of your many nieces or nephews' weddings, to the joy you got from video chatting with Tzipi, Gilad, and Atanel in the hospital. You were ecstatic every time Mommy came into the hospital room. And had the biggest smile on your face whenever your mother or one of your sisters called. You loved quoting movies and TV shows with Yisrael and Jody, and you were so proud of Penina. Your other love was Judaism. You loved so many different mitzvot, especially Talmud Torah and Tefillah. You finished Shas at least 3 times, and even when you were very sick, you went to this last siyum in the freezing cold, and you wouldn't leave because you wanted to celebrate with your shiur. You were so proud of the regulars in the Daf Yomi. It made you so happy to see them learn fundamentals of Gemara, like reading Rashi's script. And you took your job as a Magidei Shir very seriously. You always wanted to bring your best, which meant waking up each morning at 4:30, including after many nights in which you were trading Asian or European markets and were up into the early morning. You burned the candle at both ends and crammed as much life as you could into your short life. Your love for Gemara was also evident at home, where our house is filled with many full sets of Art Scroll Shas, and which almost every Dvar Torah you gave was from that week's daf. Your love for the daf brought you to shiurim around the world, from the daf yomi we went to when we went to California on vacation, to the post-midnight shir you loved to attend at the kotel. You loved shul so much. You loved that you were one of the few people in Riverdale who belonged to and attended 3 different shuls and never missed a minyan. You were always someone who actively shaped the communities you were part of. You played a foundational role in creating and sustaining Plag Mincha. You, in your own words, helped resurrect Sudat Shlishit, sponsoring it week after week for years whenever there wasn't a sponsor, because you wanted there to be good enough food that people would show up. You loved Chaz and Shim singing, and you loved the Karl Bach minyan at the HAR on Friday nights. You loved saying the tefillah for Shabbat Mevarchim, singing Yaleh Ve'avo, saying the Shechianu Bracha and Kiddush, reciting Kiddush Levana, and doing Birkat Kohanim. You loved saying tefillah that many others did not say, from the special tefillah before Kiddush that you made sure to recite every week, to V'yitein Lecha on Motzei Shabbat, and of course, you loved Malava Malka, Sudat David. You didn't just love these mitzvot. You got tremendous joy in having others join you in them. In addition to your love of family and Judaism, you showed me how to connect with so many different types of people. You were just as happy with your Daf Yomi crew as you were with your Wall Street friends. You had people you wanted to hang out with at every shul you attended, especially when there was a Kiddush. You loved Kiddushes. You found something to love in everyone, even people who others often didn't esteem in the same way that you did. You got upset and you were very anguished when you felt people weren't being treated with respect, and you made sure to show respect to people whom others often did not. You got great joy from dancing with the elderly and people with disabilities during Kabbalah Shabbat, and of going to Abraham and Sarah's tent, a Friday night meal at one of our shuls that is often attended by people who don't have another place to go. And you always made a point to go to Shiva Minyanim. For people, you especially like to attend Shiva Minyanim for people who are less prominent and wouldn't always have got a minyan. And you would bring people along to make sure that they got a minyan, and you always would reach out to the rabbis and reach out to your friends to help them. Danny, you were very humble. You didn't care about material things. You cared about treating people with respect, doing the right thing, and bringing joy into the world. You were always upbeat and optimistic, even though you had a lot you could have complained about. You had the most amazing smile, a smile that all of your nurses loved, and you loved to tell jokes and make people laugh. Daddy, you left this world too early. You left during a time that was especially difficult. It made you so sad that you couldn't go to shul, and even though you became a mainstay in the Young Israel Zoom Mincha and a Toronto Zoom Minyan that you thought has especially good kavanah, a minyan I'm still not quite sure how you found, you were still anguished. I remember before Shavuot when I came home to be with you, you were so sad because you just wanted to go to shul and say one more Kedusha. Daddy, when you get to Shemayim, all those people you loved will be waiting for you. Zeta Mani, Safta's family, including your namesake David, Zeta's family, Grandma Leah, Yoni, Baba, Bert, your fellow Gabbai, and Minyan Mainstay. Daddy and Shemayim, you'll finally get to say another Kedusha, but this time with the angels.
Very few people are ever lucky enough to know someone like David, someone even like David, someone completely selfless and naturally doing good every minute of his life. I was lucky enough to have him as part of my life from the moment I remember myself. Yesterday Lester said he didn't have a bad bone in his body, and Judy said he's the best person she ever met. And everyone who knows David knows that that is true. He was so generous with his time, his love, his money, his acts of kindness, and his smiles. The very sweetest smile in the world. You can't think of David without thinking of his smiles. His eyebrows slightly raised and his head back a bit, thinking about what you're saying while he's smiling, always spreading joy to everyone around him. In his last months, he had 2 recurring themes. Why is this happening? And I'm the luckiest man. I've had the best life. He was surrounded constantly, non-stop, whether physically or technologically, by Rachel, Tzippi, Yossi, and Yisrael. And he felt so loved and cherished. And even lying there in the hospital, he felt so lucky. I believe that those themes are intertwined. David wasn't so lucky as much as he was so good, so pure. And through those good, pure eyes and soul, he saw the world and those in it, and felt blessed and lucky. And pure souls in our difficult world are like a small and steady flame that burns brightly but quickly. Nothing extraneous to keep it going. But with it, he lit up our lives and our paths, and showed us how life should be lived. By believing the best in people, by doing good, by caring and loving no matter what. David and his family lived with the tumor since he was so young, with all of its limitations, and yet you never heard him speak of it. He never defined himself by his illness, never pitied himself or expected to be treated differently. He lived life so fully, with such honesty, integrity, and never-ending goodness and giving to everyone. With his brilliant mind and understanding of the universe, he still saw everything, every day, with childlike wonder and joy. The smallest things made him so happy. Out of everything bad comes something good. The hospitalizations over the last 2 years gave me a lot of extra one-on-one time with David, my baby brother. Driving him to shul, waiting in the car, I would see him stop and talk to every person, and each encounter was personal. How is their son doing? What are they studying? Their move. He made each and every one know that he saw them and thought of them on a deeply personal basis. No one would ever give up a chance for a minute of David's time. And David always saw something special in everyone, even those considered on the fringe of society. He never ostracized a single person. He made everyone feel special. One of the ways we know of a person's true self are their lifelong friends, true connections. Seeing Daniel and Moshe Sturm walk hours to the hospital on Shabbat, everyone calling him from Zoom, all his friends from work, from decades. And he let everyone in with such openness and warmth, no matter how badly he was feeling. And as generous as he was, the constant over-tipper, he was so modest for his own needs, stayed in his small cave, never bought anything for himself, except special food for Shabbat, his favorite day. Every week he found new beauty and happiness in Shabbat. And somehow in the hospital, he would wake up each week on Shabbat. It was overwhelmingly beautiful and comforting to see his family with him so completely. Sippy had to be in California and stayed connected all the time. She would notice if his neck was leaning to one side, tell him move the pillow this way, always with an idea how to bring him more comfort. Are you comfortable, Daddy? I make a living. And Gilad sang tefillot with him online, bringing Fishy to the computer to sing Modeh Ani. Yossi and Pnina moved in and were rocks of strength, helping in the house and the hospital, so involved in every decision, so thoughtful in their responses. Every time David would hear us say Pnina, he would get that special smile with the raised eyebrows and say, I like Pnina. And Yossi would drive Rachel and be there whenever he was allowed. And Yossi made every human effort to try to understand David's wishes so he could honor them, so he could make informed, ethical decisions to help David as much as possible, while always doing everything to see what David wanted, so protective and caring and loving. Yisrael flew in especially from California. He had to quarantine and be tested, and then he was able to go to the hospital. And there was so much love in that room. Yisrael showed up whenever he was allowed to come in, found the screen script of David's favorite movie to act it out for him, made jokes, anything to bring extra happiness to David, while inside he was crying. But he made David so happy and found ways to communicate even when it was so hard. And of course Rachel was with David every minute. Most of their lives they lived with the shadow of this awful disease, and they made such a beautiful life together. She never left his side, weeks in the hospital, handling the craziness of the medical system, figuring out what to do, how to do it, and always by his side, making sure every step of the way, with every difficult decision, she had his best interest and comfort at the heart of it. Asking the hardest questions and consulting while being so strong for their children. Generous in her updates to everyone who was hungry for news of David, even though she didn't have a second to herself. She would sing Zmirot to David for hours, and when he would open his eyes, he would look at her and he would say, "I love you, my kala," and again would say what a lucky man he was. And from the side, I can confirm that, with all the suffering, the unfairness, he was blessed by a beautiful and loving wife, amazing children, wonderful friends, his whole family, his community, his daf, a profession he enjoyed, and a capacity for valuing and cherishing each moment. Everyone in the hospital loved him, the staff. He was so polite, so apologetic, so grateful. He kept repeating he doesn't want to be a burden, didn't want anyone to worry about him. And they explained to him that the way he received joy in giving his whole life, he's now giving us a small chance to repay him. David was a shining star, a shooting star that brought light and sparkle to our lives and too quickly left us. He left us with the imprint of his beautiful smile, his pure, wonderful soul, and left everyone that had the zchut to know him richer in the knowledge that for a short bit of time they had a true good person, one of this world's real tzaddikim, as part of their life. We were truly blessed and will always carry him in our hearts. And as I always promised him, he will never be alone.
שאר ההספדים יהיו בחלקת הקבר. עקביה בן מהללל אומר, הסתכל בשלושה דברים ונתבה לידי עבירה. דע מאין באת ולאן אתה הולך ולפני מי אתה עתיד ליתן דין וחשבון. מאין באת ולאן אתה הולך למקום עפר רימה ותולע. ולפני מי אתה עתיד ליתן דין וחשבון לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. והוא רחום יכפר עוון ולא ישחית ובעל שיבה פה ולא יאיר כל חמתו. קדיש.
יתגדל ויתגדל שמי רבה ועמד ברכותי וימליך מלכותי ויצמח פרקני ויקרא משיחי וחייכון ובימיכון וחי לכל בית ישראל לגלל וזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן.
אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולם.
יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולם. יתברך ישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ידר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לעילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה שמירן בעלמה ויאמרו אמן. יהי שלום רב מן שמיה וחיים טובים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן. עושה שלום ברמה הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן.
קהל נכבד, מסע הלוויה יוצא לגוש ת"י. אנחנו פונים פה שמאלה, בעלי הרכבים נוסעים אחרינו בשיירה. על פי הוראות משרד הבריאות, רק אנשי חברה קדישא יטפלו במנוח, בנסיעת המיטה ובקבורה, 4 מטר מרחק מאנשי חברה קדישא עד לאחר הקבורה. אנא בכוח, גדולת ימינך, תתירו צרורה, קבל מילת עמך תשמע. נשלם לדוד, שמרני אל תמיכתי תיבה. אמרת לאדוני, אדוני אתה, טובתי בנעליך, לקדושים אשר בארץ אימה, ואדירי כל סיבם. ולבוא עצבותם אחר מהר, ובנת פרניכם, וגם בלך עצמתם ממשיכי בצד. אדוני מנת חלקי, וחופי אתה תומך גורלי. אבל נפלו לי בנעימים, אף נחלה שפר עלי. וברך את אדוני אשר יעצני, אף לילות יצרוני חיליותי. שיביתי אדוני לנגדי תמיד, כי ממני בא למות. לכן שמח ליבי ויגל כבודי, הבשרי ישכון לבטח. כי לא תעזוב נפשי לשאול, לא תיתן חסידך לראות שחת. תודיעני אורח חיים סובה, שמחות את פניך, נעימות בימינך נצח. קדיש.
יקדל ויקדש מרבה, ותעמד זרח ויתר בין ויצמחי פרקני ויקרא משיחי. וחייכון ביום אחד וחי לכל בית ישראל, והגלל וזמקרי בימי שמירה במברך, לעולם היה יברך תשבח ויתפאר ורומם ינשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ותצלל שמי קדושה בריחו, ואלה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תשבחתה ונחמתה, זמירה בעלמה ואמר אמן. יהי שלום רב מן שמיה וחיים טובים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמר אמן. עשה שלום במרב, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמר אמן.
אל מלא רחמים, שוכן במרומים, המצא מנוחה נכונה על כנפי השכינה, במעלות קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר הרקיע, מאירים ומזהירים לנשמת דוד מיכאל בן עמנואל בצלאל הכהן, שהלך לעולמו, בעבור שבני משפחתו מתפללים ונותנים בלי נדר צדקה בעד הזכרת נשמתו, בגן עדן תהא מנוחתו. לכן בעל הרחמים יסתירהו בסתר כנפיו לעולמים, ויצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתו, אדוני הוא נחלתו, וינוח בשלום על משכבו, ונאמר אמן. דוד מיכאל בן עמנואל בצלאל הכהן, בשם החברה קדישה, בשם החברים שהתעסקו בך, בשם משפחתך, קרוביך וידידיך, אני מבקש ממך סליחה ומחילה אם חס ושלום פגמנו איזה דבר בטהרה, בנשיאת המיטה או בתיקון הקבר. סלח נא לנו כי שגגה היא כל מה שעשינו היה לכבודך, על פי מנהגי ירושלים עיר הקודש. אנו פותרים אותך מלהיות חבר בכל חברה או אגודה איזו שהיא. לך בשלום ותנוח על משכבך בשלום, ותעמוד לגורלך לקץ הימים. היה נא מליץ טוב בעד משפחתך, קרוביך וידידיך, ובעד כל עם ישראל. וחיים ושלום יהיה לנו ולכל ישראל עד העולם, אמן. תהא נשמתו צרורה בצרור החיים, שלא תדעו מצער, מן השמיים תנוחמו בשורות טובות. יהיה שבת שלום לכולם ושמחות. ולא תדעו מצער גברת, יהיה רק בשורות טובות. תן הרבה כוח והרבה בריאות, יהיה שמחות בלב שמח.
אתה לא רוצה להתקרב קצת, שיראו מה קורה שם? אתה רוצה שאני אקח את המצלמה קדימה?
לא, אני לא לקחת, אני אקח מה ההנחיות.
כן, אתה אפילו תתקדם לפינה, לסיבוב שם, אתה יודע, כדי שיראו טוב. אנשים בארצות הברית, אתה יודע, רק... כן, לא, עכשיו במיוחד בשלב הזה אני אומר, כאילו, אחרי שזה...
כן, לא. עכשיו מדברים?
כן.
אני אסדר.
בסדר, יישר כוח. כן, תראה. כן. איפה הוא מדבר? פה? הנה, ישראל מדבר פה בכלל. יכול לשים את זה על הכיס, זה בכיס? סטארי. הלוואי הייתי יכול לתת לך עכשיו כזה חיבוק.
Should I start? What? Should I speak?
Menacha? Menacha? How close can we be to the aquarium? What?
Now, as close as you want. The question is going to be the next time you come.
Okay.
And then you're going to have to be careful of the trees and stuff.
Okay.
Can I have some space so that I don't breathe on people? Because I want to take off my mask. So if I just don't want to speak with my mask off with you so close. No, I just want people to move. Okay. Hi, Daddy. Hi. I know you're definitely with us right now. I'm sure you're sitting up in Shemayim, probably eating, probably enjoying the hלוויה, which I know you always wanted to do, probably with the side of cholent. Daddy, you know, my whole life, as long as I can remember, you had the tumor, and because of that, we both treasured every moment. We got so much time, so much more time than we expected. And every day, we knew that things could get bad again. And because of that, we really made the most of every single day. And you gave me so many things. And even though your future was always so unclear, you never had needs. You only had wants. And even on those, I know I let you down a lot, and I'm really sorry. But you never cared. You never minded, no matter what. You always loved us, and you loved me so much. You just wanted me to be happy. And you gave me so many things. So many things. You taught me how to play catch. You taught me how to play baseball. You taught me how to play basketball. You made me love the Yankees, and I still do. And we loved watching games together and going to games together, and we went to hundreds of games together. You loved arguing with the cab drivers, and I love arguing with the cab drivers. You loved eating the hot dogs. And you were so humble and always just wanted us to be happy no matter what. I learned so much. Even the things that I love that you didn't fully understand. You still supported me always so fully. You never questioned it. You never questioned any of it. When I was 5 and I decided I loved the Sacramento Kings, you took me to every game they played in New York and New Jersey for the next 10 years. When I was 15 and I decided I loved Russian literature, you didn't ask a single question. You didn't ask like so many parents would have what I would do with it, what my profession would be. You had no doubt that it would all work out, and you were just so happy I found something I loved. So happy to be there. Your grandson in so many ways. And you're with Yossi and Sippy and Penina and Gilad, who you loved so much. You were so excited to welcome them into the family. Every day we had together was so beautiful, Daddy. And I'm so happy we had so much time. And I'm so sorry that so much of it was so hard. There were... You know, one time we were with you when D.E. Shaw had Take Your Kids to Work Day. And Yossi and I didn't really understand the significance of it. because we came to work with you probably once a week, because we loved being with you. And we would sit there and drink iced tea, and you would take us downstairs to get my most favorite, and we would go across the street and we would get Krispy Kreme donuts, and then we would sit with you even though you were so busy, and we would have a jalapeno chip eating contests, and we would see who could go the longest without drinking. And every game we played so many games together. Every Shabbos, even though you got no sleep during the week, I would wake you up at 7 in the morning when I woke up, and you would sit and you would play with me before shul. And even though I probably flipped the board over most of the time, you kept playing with me. You taught me how to laugh at myself. You taught me to never really laugh at other people, though. You had so much grace. We felt so loved, Daddy, all the time. And I'm so happy that I have your face, I have your eyes, I have your voice, I have your hair. I'm so blessed to have all of those things from you. And I love you so incredibly much, Daddy. And we will always be with you, and we know you will always be with us. And that will give us so much comfort. And I'm so happy, just like Yessi said and so many other people said, I know you're surrounded by so many people in Shemayim right now. The people that everyone knew you were best friends with, and the people that so many people probably didn't know you knew, but who probably loved you so incredibly much, and who learned so much from you. And we're going to keep taking care of each other. And we'll be with Mommy, and we'll keep taking care of Mommy. Just like you took care of her, and just like she took care of you for so many years, so selflessly. We will continue to be selfless in all of those ways, Daddy. Thank you so much for everything. We love you so much. And we're not ready to say goodbye. And we won't say goodbye. And we know that even at the end, when you had so little strength, you used every bit of energy you had to tell us how much you loved us and how much you loved everyone in the family. We will always be with you, Daddy. I love you so much. And everything I do is in your honor and because of you. Thank you, Daddy. I love you.
David, as you can see from here, so many people love you. Yisrael, that was so amazing. David, when we think about you, the first thing that comes to mind is love, unconditional love. People loved you, and you showed the love back with your smile, your laughter, and especially with your deeds and generosity. Over the last day, we got so many messages, and they all had the same theme. People remember your kindness and your smile. People that knew you well and people that met you once. They kept saying they know your kindness and your smile. David, two years ago, we stood in the same cemetery at Daddy's funeral, and you gave a hesped. I hope I can invoke the same love, emotions, and respect that you did at that hesped. I remember at the time feeling that you spoke from the heart, and that's what I want to do now. David, when Daddy was in the hospital, you were beside him all the time, more than any of the rest of us. You cared for him, well, not Mommy, more than, Mommy was there as much, but more than the rest of us. You were beside him all the time. You cared for him, spoke to him, learned with him, and played him music that he liked, and even ate your weekly malava malka, which was so important to you, at his bedside. David, one of my biggest regrets ever is that I was not with you during these last months when you were in the hospital. This filled me with so much sadness. I don't think I will ever get over it. Yesterday, one of Mommy's friends, Mort Zemmel, wrote this. He wrote, "Our heart goes out to you and your family on the loss of your dear son, David. Aharon HaKohen was niftar on the first day of Av. David, also a Kohen, was niftar on the second day of Av. Two giants who brought Torah, Shalom, and Chesed to the world, and all with a smiling countenance." Thank you to Mort Zemmel for that. Growing up 5 years older than you, we were very close, as only an older sister can be. Before you went to sleep, we sang the songs that you learned about Kriyat Shema. We talked about math. And when you got older, we told jokes and sang Billy Joel songs. Memories of walking with you in Flatbush and seeing people on the streets. Everyone loved you. As a teenager, you came to visit us in Boston. You and Bob were like brothers. That's where you met Rachel, and Bob gave you our car for your first date. You loved your family, including your extended family. You came in for all the smachot. You flew in, were mesamech, and flew out. For Ellie's wedding, you and Yisroel flew in just for the day of the wedding and flew out right afterwards. You spent time and money just to spend happiness with your family. And even your playfulness involved Torah. You told us that we can give you any siddur from any shul, open to any page, and you would know exactly what was on it. V'kachaya. David, on WhatsApp, your tagline is "doing the daf," and your WhatsApp picture is your grandson. Both perfect for you. The daf yomi was so important to you, and through the daf, you touched so many people. The first thing Boaz said to me today was, "I'm so happy that I was able to attend David's daf yomi shir." But there is one story that stands out in my mind that exemplifies David, and thanks to Bob for reminding me. We were visiting in New York, and he told us that he's got a steady group of people that learn daf yomi with him. We asked him, do they all learn from the same type of Gemara? And he said, yes, everyone uses the art scroll. He says, we have a sponsor who donates it to all the people in the shir. Later that day, maybe we were going shopping, and we happened to open the trunk, and we saw a large number of art scroll masechtot, of the next masechet they were learning for the daf. I said to him, David, am I standing next to the sponsor? And he just smiled. The story says so much. It shows David's love of the Daf Yomi group. It shows his love of Torah. It shows his generosity. And it shows his humbleness and humility by not even telling his sister about this kind and generous gesture. David, I salute you. I love you. I'm proud of you. And forever. And I'm really going to miss you.
כמה מילים אחרונים מהשבת. זה הלוויה קטנה מדי לאיש גדול מדי. הלוויה קטנה מדי, כמו שחז"ל אמרו, שאוי לאותו עולם שלא יודעים להספיד נכון, לתת הכבוד האחרון ותלמיד חכם. עכשיו כולם יודעים על כל המידות הטובות של דיוויד, וגם דיברו על זה, אבל בבני משפחתי, דוברי העברית, בוני הארץ, חשוב לכם לדעת מה זה מעמד שלו בציבור, מעמד שלו בקהילה, כמורה, כפי שכולם הזכירו, מורה של הדף היומי, שזה כבר 3 סיבובים שהוא עשה כמורה, וכל זה כשהוא סוחב איתו את המחלה ולא נרתע. וזה רק מחזק אצלי, אצל כולנו, את כל מי שראה אותו, מחזק בו את התפיסה של חז"ל שהם אמרו, שכל מצווה שיהודי עושה, והוא מתמיד בו, אבל מתמיד בו, ויהיה מה מתמיד בו. כל שהוא מתמיד בו, מלאך המוות לא יכול לו. מלאך המוות רק הצליח עליו לחטוף את נשמתו, רק אחרי שהטריד אותו, והפסיקו את ההתמדה. כמו דוד המלך, שעל שמו נקרא. מאיפה זה בא? אולי זה בא מזכות רב מאיר שפירא עצמו שחיתן את הסבא והסבתא, השם ייקום דמו. אולי זה בזכות אבא שלו, שהאמין והקים חזון שכל יהודי יכול ללמוד. אין בלי יוצא מן הכלל. וכל יהודי, אם הוא מספיק יוצא, מציגים את זה מספיק יופי, הוא יכול ללמוד. אז לכן אני רק אסיים, כי זה כבר מאוחר. אני רק אסיים בדף הראשון שהוא הפסיד. כי אם היית שואל את דוד, אם היית שואל אותו, מה התאריך היום? מה היה אומר? איזה דף היום? הדף, אז כל התלמידים שלו, הם לא יציינו את בית אב ביום פטירתו, הם יציינו את שבת קל"ט. שבת קל"ט, תרשו לי להתחיל רק את הדף הראשון שהוא הפסיד בעולם הזה. הדף הראשון שהוא לומד בעולם הבא. תניא, רבי שמעון בר יוחאי אומר, חס ושלום, לא ישכח תורה מישראל, שנאמר, כי לא ישכח תורה מפי זרעו. אנחנו כולנו עדים, אנחנו כולנו נשתדל, נעשה כמיטב יכולתנו לשמור את הברית הזה, לשמור שלא ישכח תורה מפי זרעו. עד הדף הראשון שאתה לומד בעולם הבא. אבא שלך הגיע שם שנתיים בדיוק לפניך כמעט. וואי, מקווה שהוא דאג לך למקום טוב בישיבה של מעלה. איזו חברותא טובה. אתה יכול לשבת בנחת, ללמוד, תתחיל ללמוד עם זה, עם קל"ט עמוד א', ותלמד עלינו זכות. אם יש לך זמן, אני מבקש דוד, גם כשאתה כל כך עסוק בתורה, תחשוב גם עלינו, תחשוב על כל עם ישראל העומדים בצרה. תן איזו מילה טובה על אשתך, על הבנים שלך, על הבנות שלך, על הנכדים, על כל מי שאהב אותך. תן איזו מילה טובה. תמיד אתה רואה את הראש מהגמרא רגע אחד, רק תזכיר אותנו, וזה יספיק. זה יספיק, תאמין לי. תאמין לי, זה יספיק לכולם. על זה נאמר. על זה אומר כתוב. נסיים בשירה, בסדר? אבינו אב הרחמן, המרחם עלינו, ותן בליבנו בינה, ואבינו להשכיל, אבינו אב הרחמן, המרחם עלינו, ותן בליבנו בינה, ואבינו להשכיל. וללמוד וללמד לשמור, לקיים את כל דברי תלמוד תורתך באהבה. ללמוד וללמד לשמור ולעשות ולקיים את כל דברי תלמוד תורתך באהבה. דוד, רק נסיים בפסוק שוודאי אתה תמיד הזכיר במזמור לדוד אדוני אלוהי, מסיים, לחזות בנועם אדוני ולבקר בהיכלו. אתה, מה לעשות? יצאתי לפני שגם אתה וגם כולנו באבלות, לא רק עליך, על זה שלא זכית ולא זכינו לבקר בהיכלו, אבל לפחות עכשיו אתה זוכה לחזות בנועם השם. שבת שלום לכולם. Yeah, right now.
Ashrei Ashrei B'Techa, Or